He's a guy without a clue who doesn't know what to do. Republican or Democrat, he's not sure where he's at. It's not so much fun knowing how the country's run. Liberals, conservatives, House of Representatives. Are you right? Are you left? Which way do you lean? Who knows what the hell does that even mean?
Welcome to POV America with your host, Brian.
Hey guys, sorry about the delay. I had some technical difficulties here. I've got two different cable providers, but I'm actually going back and forth to get the best. I'm actually having a ton of dropped frames, so I want to make sure it doesn't end up being a choppy stream tonight for everybody. But hopefully this will. I'm on really what amounts to the only stable one I have right now. So hopefully this will be stable for the rest of the night. But I want to say thanks for you guys. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I want to say thanks for everybody staying with me last week, and then this morning if you were with me on the morning drive, and then the afternoon. Those of you that were with me on the afternoon drive probably got a little bit of a special surprise, because I left my stream on and just kind of went on a rant with something that happened earlier, and I'll tell you, it just infuriated me, and I had to make some phone calls and take care of it. I have about 30 years ago, 20, almost 30 years ago, when I went through school, I had loans, Pell Grant student loans, and over the years I've kind of thought that everything was been taken care of. But apparently it appears that the school I attended put me in for student loans and grants and everything for something that I didn't attend, and the federal government sent them money, and basically I got the bill for it. Well, now here it is. I finally here all along I've been thinking I was paying on my old school. I'm down to my last about $10,000, but I thought I was paying on the old school. Come to find out, I wasn't. I was paying on something that they supposedly got money for, but I didn't. I never attended the class. That's kind of what my frustration was. I was never in the class, the program. So they sent it in like I was, got money for it, and I've been carrying the bill and the debt for all these years. So the old blood pressure went up a little bit, and to say I was upset would be an understatement. I truly was. But tonight I wanted to kind of drop in and just see if we could get some kind of a stream going tonight despite these technical difficulties. I'm going to try and keep a little bit of a closer eye on the stream here, and I'm hoping that it'll stay steady once we get on. But let me go here. All right, so to get everybody aligned. But anyway, thanks for stopping by if you're here tonight. I definitely appreciate you coming in and spending some time with me. I will tell you, I was a little surprised on the way home, the whole how actually furious I got over this whole thing with this wall, this Democrat versus Republican, this big fight over Trump's wall, and I don't get it. And for those of you who actually caught me on the afternoon drive, and you can understand my frustration. I don't get it. To me, the wall's a necessary thing. We need this wall. It's not something that we can kind of look the other way. And everything I see with these the Democrats, I just don't understand how they can't agree that this is a necessary thing. So I'm thinking maybe I'm missing something, because for those of you who've been following, you know that as far as politics, the whole purpose of the show originally, when I first started this, was to familiarize myself, get more familiar with politics, because for 30 years I have been out of it. I have not paid attention. I have never voted in any kind of election, major election of any kind, presidential or otherwise. I did my time in Desert Storm, and I did 8 years in the Army, in the military, but I entrusted, the whole. It's not that I didn't want to vote. It's just that whenever I looked at the candidates, if they seemed to be scummy, like Hillary or like Trump or whatever, I didn't vote for them. I just wouldn't vote. I just refused to compromise my ethics and my integrity and vote for somebody who I didn't truly believe was the best for my country, my family, and everything. So, long story short, I did it the other way. I served my country. I did it where I thought would be the best for me, and I served. But I will tell you that now that I'm kind of paying a little attention to it, I said, okay, I'm going to make a focus, because everybody's been telling me 2020, that's the year you got to make the right vote, you got to cast the right vote, and this is the year you got to vote. And I said, okay. And they said, what are you, Democrat or Republican? I said, yeah, one of them, I don't know. Because I didn't know what the party stood for. I didn't know what Democrat and Republican, I didn't know what they actually stood for. What are they? And now I'm trying to be impartial. I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying desperately not to be biased towards one or the other. But then when I see what's going on with this wall, I was on one of the things during lunch, radio stations or websites, I'm not sure, but it says, tomorrow Trump will be, he's going to be having a conference, or a televised, he's going to speak to the nation, I guess. And they're saying that he may declare a national emergency to get funding for this wall. And I kind of, it took me by surprise that all this is being such a big deal. Because to me, it really does seem like a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, you get a freaking wall because you don't want all the heroin, you don't want all the cocaine, you don't want all the drugs, the marijuana, you don't want the criminal element, the gangster element coming in, you don't want the terrorists that'll just kind of go around and come in. All these things, you don't want them in our country. I don't get why anybody that's a Democrat would be against this. And there's probably something I'm missing. Maybe there's a reason that all these politicians and celebrities out there in California are going, no, we don't want a wall. We want the drugs. We want the criminal element. We want, maybe there's a reason that I don't understand. Maybe it's just that they want the wall, but they just don't want Trump to build it and succeed and have that as a feather in his cap. Maybe they want a different way to fund the wall. I don't know. But the thing was, I'm reading this stuff and I'm just thinking, if you are anything in this country, if you really, truly are somebody in this country that truly believes in making us and keeping us great and powerful, how can you not agree with a wall? And what they try to do, I've noticed what these Democrats are doing is they're trying to pull at your heartstrings. Oh, look at little, look at Maria Hernandez and her little, her daughter Chalupa or whatever, I don't know. But I'm saying, they're trying to pull at your heartstring. Oh, look at they're coming into our country and this is what's happening to them in these caravans, and don't come. We've told you, don't come. Go through the process. We've said that a million times. And to me, it's like, if somebody tells me, hey, don't go to that island, they have Ebola on it, I'm not going to the island. But if you're not smart enough to it's terrible in their country. Well, guess what? If we allow that to come here, it's going to be terrible in our country. We have to have a wall. It's just, to me, it's a no-brainer. Now, one of the things that's frustrating too is I think that as I watch the Democrats and the Republicans and this interaction, and I get so frustrated because I see the conflict. Everything, it's not about what's best for me, for my family, for my country anymore. It's literally political infighting between the two different parties. It's nothing to do with what's right for this country. Trump is doing what's right for the country. He's getting the unemployment rates down. He's getting the number of jobs up. Gas prices are going back down. Do you know, he used to talk about, what was it called? Fake news. He would say fake news this, fake news that, and I didn't know what he meant until the other day. I was on CNN.com, and I could see it. I mean, everything I started to read, if you really just open your eyes and think about it, one of the big things that were on there, and you can go check this out, it was yesterday or the day before, it says lower gas prices are bad for the economy and bad for, so if the gas prices go down, it's bad. bad for us. We have to pay higher gas prices. This is on CNN, I swear to God. So it's like, I'm like, what the hell are they talking? So I had to go and read this, and the gist of it was this. Oh, if gas prices go too low, all the oil workers at the refineries and the facility, they're all going to be unemployed. And they're going to be out of jobs because we're buying more oil from OPEC and the cartels. So it's going to hurt our economy, and it's bad for us when the gas prices are lower. And I'm like, what are you, stupid? Are you guys that? I mean, really, you're going to try and tell me if I pay less than $100 to fill up my tank, that's going to hurt the economy because these guys are going to be unemployed. Well, how about this? Now, I'm just kind of like spitballing it here, but how about this? What if we don't lay them off? We continue to produce oil and we sell anything over that we need. We can sell our oil. We can become kind of what we're doing. Instead of having the cartels bring oil into us, we can now sell our oil too. Or we can drive our prices down even further. We don't have to put anybody out of work. I mean, the way their mentality that these people think, it's like when you say the gas prices are going down and it's working, the economy's getting better, they don't want to hear that. They want to find a spin on it so they can say how bad it is. And I'm sorry, I don't see that. So as much as I want to be objective when I look at these parties, the only thing I see is a Democratic Party of rich people. And all they're doing is anything they can to try and convince me, which I'm not a sheep. I don't just follow you because I actually look at data. I actually look at information. I read. I educate myself on issues. So they're so out there to try and get me to turn against the Republicans and Trump. And it's like, look, matter of fact. Oh, he cheated with this porn star or prostitute or whore, whatever she was. I don't know. But he cheated with her again. So what? Doesn't affect me. That's between him and his wife. You want to throw it in the news, go ahead. You know what it does? It makes you look bad that you're even making an issue out of it. I don't care if, the money he gave her was a violation of the campaign. You really want me to try? You're going to try and spin that to me that it was a violation of some campaign funding, something. Look, man, it ain't going to work. It's stupid as hell. So I kind of go through this in my head and go, as much as if I want to try and be objective, I see myself kind of going one way. And I, so they're like, well, who are you going to vote for, in 2020? I'm still trying to be objective. So if there is Democrats out there that really, truly have can educate me, because that's what this is all about. I want to be educated. I want to know why. Why is it that this wall is such a bad idea? I mean, just explain it to me so I understand it, because I think it's a great idea. I think that we need to control the influx of illegal aliens into our country. I think that's absolutely correct. And nothing else we've tried up to this far. I mean, this has been in the last 50 years, half a century, nothing has worked. So now here's something that will work. And it won't stem all of it and stop all of it, but it is a hell of a deterrent. And that's what we need. We need a deterrent to say, don't come to our country unless you follow the proper channels. Now, let me tell you, I'm all for the proper channels. I'm all for it. I mean, literally, if you said to me, how can we make because that's what they really want. They want a pathway to citizenship that doesn't take them 20 years or 10 years to get there. So I'm all for that. I'm all for that. I think that one of the easiest ways to do it, speaking as a veteran, to me, you come to my country and say, I want to enlist for 6 years in the United States Army, Air Force, Marines, whatever. You come and serve our country, serve this country as a veteran in the United States military. I think that's a very worthwhile endeavor. I think that there'd be a lot of pride that you could take in that. And I'm going to tell you what, I'd be happy to fight next to somebody that loves my country so much that they're willing to, for the freedom that we offer, they're willing to put their life on the line, not knowing if they're going to come back in 6 years. They might get killed in one of these skirmishes we have all over the world. The very fact that they're willing to do that and say, I will come and join for a 6-year minimum of 6-year enlistment for a citizenship for me and my immediate family. It's, you know, your wife and your kids, maybe even your mother and father. I don't have a problem with that. But as long as none of them have a criminal history, you know, that type of thing. But I think that if you want a path to citizenship, there you go. A great path to citizenship. Join the military. You keep our country strong. You keep our military forces strong. You serve our country. You show that you value this country and love this country as much as we do as the Americans that have been born here. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that a lot of the folks that are over, you know, that are using Mexico as an example, they would come and become part of our military. I think that they want this life so much for their families and that they would do that, and they would put themselves out there, and then for the rest of their lives, they can say, you know, my country is the United States, but my home is Mexico, and that's fine. But I think that the whole way we approach this by just saying no wall, and that's the Democrat side. I mean, that's the Democrats saying no wall. I personally, I'm all for it, and that was the whole thing today. Just got my blood pressure up because I read that he's literally going to have to declare it a national emergency just to get the wall started and get this thing under because the Democrats are putting so much against it. So for me, you know, I'm cool with get the wall. Everything that I've noticed so far, you know, this is just, as I said, I'm coming into this trying to be open-minded and go, look, what do I see? I do see the unemployment rate lowest it's ever been. I do see more jobs than there are people to fill those jobs. These are all good things. I do see him getting us out of the deals he talks about that he's pulled out from. Just read them, look at them. They really were terrible deals that had us paying the bulk of everything. Why is that good? Why, I mean, what kind of genius puts America in that? Why do we have such a $1 trillion deficit? What kind of genius puts us into where we're paying the bulk of protection and everything for these other countries? So I look at it, I think, yes, we needed a businessman to come here and try and clean up and you know, get rid of some of the mess we have. But I don't care whether he bangs a dozen porn stars. I don't. And, you know, they said, well, there was collusion with Russia and, you know, they helped him get elected. Hey, good. I don't care either. You know, if they, well, he signed this paper, said you know, they were going to build a Trump Tower in Moscow. Build two Trump Towers in Moscow. I think that would be awesome. I'm all for it. I'll go fucking visit. I don't care. Because you know what? Whatever you do that impacts me negatively, I have a problem with. But when you deal with your personal life and what you're doing with, and it positively affects me, the middle class guy, you know, and it saves me, instead of paying $100 for a tank of gas in a Yukon, I now pay $40. That's what I want. I want my money to go further. And I've always said, you know what, you want your money to go further. Trump does these deals, right? Man, all he's got to do is go and do a deal, reach out to the people at OPEC, go to that cartel, that oil cartel, and say to them, hey, we want a deal, a 7-year, call it 7 years of prosperity. That's got a little biblical theme. People might like that. 7 years of prosperity. You're going to sell us all the oil we can buy so we can keep our prices at 99 cents, $1 a gallon for gas. So you will buy all the oil from you for 7 years at this this lower rate, and we're going to go ahead and get our prices down to $1 a gallon. That's going to give people a raise in their pocketbook of probably $300 a month or more, depending on how much they drive. So it's going to give them a lot more money that they'll pump back into movie theaters and outdoor, parties and dinners and trips and vacations. They'll start putting all that money back into the economy, and it'll boost our economy. Gas prices will stay low. Now, during this time, we could easily build, refineries or whatever in our country, and you start using our own and become, self-sufficient. Or we can just simply say, now, after that 7 years, we'll start a little bit slower increase, but we're going to cap it at a certain point so we don't drive up our prices or artificially inflate these prices. So there you go. Now you've got things that matter to me. I've got low gas prices. I've got low unemployment. I've got, jobs coming more. I saw something in one of the news that says there was actually more jobs created than they anticipated. And all this is good. I mean, I don't care. I'm not saying I agree. People say, well, Trump lied about this. Trump lied about that. And I'm like, so he's a liar. Everybody lies. You ever watch House, the TV show House? Everybody lies. That's a houseism. Everybody lies. Trump lies more than most, probably. He's just or he's just grandiose. Maybe he just likes to, he is, egocentric, narcissistic, egotistic, whatever you want to call. I mean, that's him. You watch him on television, you know how he is. We elected him because we kind of like the way he talks a lot of shit. But the thing is, he talks shit and he backs it up. There's a difference if you just say it and you have nothing to show for it. You want to come out there and throw some things out there and back them up with what you say, I'm all for that. Go ahead. I'm not passing judgment on anybody about what they are, what they do. He's not perfect. I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for Hillary for a good reason. As I explained earlier, if I don't believe in the candidate, I'm not going to vote for them. And I didn't vote for Clinton or Bush or none of them for a reason, because I honestly believe that they're all self-serving. Trump, I'm sure he's self-serving. We might not see all of it right now, or unless it's the payback of the cronies or the people he knows. But the thing is, he's self-serving, but he also serves the greater good of the country. And he does it without apologies, and that's what I like. Don't apologize. Just get out there and do your job, and I'm all for it. I'll back you 100%. I'll stand behind my president and say, awesome job, and I'll back you. But the thing that really kind of takes me by surprise is really the bashing that goes on between the different the Democrat side against the Republicans. I don't know what the Democrats stand for. So for me, it's very difficult because I'm trying to be impartial. I'm trying to make up my mind which party I'm most in line with. But it's really hard. I mean, it's really tough when I'm, as I said, I'm not a political person. There's so many things in this world that are way more important. For me than all this politics that are going on. But in the end, I mean, it's better to find out now and learn a little bit about it than 10 more years go by and then I find out I'm living on the street and I don't know why. So I will continue to try and find which way I lean, and whether it's left or right or whatever that means. I still don't know, but I do want more than anything to make sure that I stay impartial, at least for the most part. Right now, I'm being very honest. I see a lot of political attacking and hacking by the Democrats, and I think it's sour grapes. I think that they're just, I really do think it's just sour grapes. They're trying to intentionally, prevent him from doing any kind of good where he can say, I did. I think they hate that. Every time he says he's responsible for something good, they will try, and that's where that fake news comes in. I do see where they will try and spin it. And there's always a spin. When I go in the news, there's always some spin about something negative. So, I mean, it's definitely different. I definitely want to have audio bitrate is too high, it says. Okay. But, so that's off on a tangent. I apologize. Like I said, I don't want to get, nothing but, all about politics. But I did want to say that I'll off on a rant on that. It was just one of those things today that just kind of set me off. I'm like, build a fucking wall. Just build the wall. Get on with this and get together as two different, Democrats, Republicans, get together, pass it, give them the money, do what you got to do to get this thing built, and then come up with your pathway to citizenship. But we've tried for 50 years, everything else. And then I love it when they were talking about, well, we're going to have to, they want to send, all the illegals that are here, we're going to send them back. And this, Really? You're a special kind of stupid if you think that's going to work. If you really think that we're going to take, it's not 1,000 or 100 or 50 people, try hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions already. They're already here. They've been here for the last 50 years or longer. You're not going to get them to go back to, it's not going to happen. So stop with the fantasy. Let's be realist. Let's live in reality. Stop living in fantasy land and understand the fact that you're not going to export all these people back to Mexico or wherever because they came over illegal. It's not going to happen. So what you do is you draw the line in the sand and say, look, if you've been a great law-abiding citizen up to this point, even though you came over illegal, it's partially our fault because we don't have our shit together. It took us too long to really try and do what was proper. So you did what you needed to do to build a better life in our country. We understand that. Here's your social security number. Start paying taxes and start becoming part of the fabric of this country. Welcome to America. Then draw that line, get that wall built and say, now, here's the other pathways that you come. They don't take you 10 years anymore, but you're vetted, and there is definitely things that we can do to make you come aboard quicker and even give you maybe a temporary card so we can get you. There's a lot of different things we can do, but you don't need to just simply say, kick them out of the country and blah, blah, blah. It's not going to happen. Okay? It's just not. So I think that the whole mentality of that, it just even more gets my blood pressure up because people, you can't be that stupid that you think you're going to just, well, we know, just get all the Mexicans out. All the Jews belong back in Israel. You can't. This has been tried by people over the, it's just like, it's so wrong. You can't do that. And I laugh because every time I turn on The View, or if I don't even watch TV that much anymore. I haven't for 20 years. I just stopped watching the news because I don't know if you've noticed, never is there anything good on news. I don't care. You flick to any news station right now. Flick to a news station right now. Go to a website. What you're going to see is nothing but bad news. Nothing but it'll be, oh, this person died, this person shot, and it always starts with, matter of fact, I'm almost embarrassed to say this because I live in Florida, but it almost always starts with a Florida man or a Florida woman, and then something terrible, but there's always bad news, never good news. So I stopped a long time ago. Newspapers, CNN, Fox News, MSN, all those, I don't even go to, well, now I'm going to them more for the politics to kind of try and keep up on it, but same thing though, even today, I bet you right now if I clicked on CNN, there'd be some kind of bad news on there. That's just how it is. But I try not to even go there and view that. And if I see something that's bad news, I just click through it. I don't even, anything to do with celebrities, any kind of celebrity, anything, the best thing you can do is just click through it. Don't even look at it because it's just a joke. These celebrities, I don't know who they think they are. They think, they think that their opinion matters to me, I guess. Maybe that's why they stand on a soapbox and they tell you what you should do. Well, we're going to start a movement, and this movement is going to be about, it's United Women Against Drunk Unicorns. I mean, whatever they freaking, they come up with all kinds of shit. And you really should just bypass it. If it's anything to do with the celebrity, bypass it. I read something today, Kathy Lee Griffin or Griffith, something like that. Griffin? I don't know. She's a comedian, or this woman who, the one with the Trump head, severed. Well, her mother has dementia. And you know what? I feel for her mother. I think that's tragic. That's something I wouldn't joke about. It's a hellish, it's terrible. And I feel so bad for her mom. I don't feel bad for Kathy. I don't feel bad for her daughter though, who has, because here's a woman that is just so filled with vile spite for everything. And now she's like tweeting out what she's going through and looking for sympathy. I don't care. I think it's tragic what your mother's going through, but I wouldn't give her one moment of solace by saying, oh, I wish you the best. I wouldn't. simply because she's not a good person. At least, unless she says that everything she's ever said was all a joke and just kidding, she's not a nice person. From everything I've seen, she's brutally vicious towards people. And I don't like that. I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. And you know, when you want to be a bitch, but don't look for my fucking sympathies when something happens to your family or whatever. Oh, mother, you know what? I feel for her mom, because that's a terrible thing to have to go through. And I hope. I was just reading on that Science Daily. I don't know if you guys ever read Science Daily. ScienceDaily.com is an awesome website. Got a lot of great articles that come from all the scientific magazines. You know, Hopkins, but there was just something in there a little while ago I read about treating dementia and you know, in Alzheimer's patients and everything, and it was something to do with sound waves or whatever. What they're finding out, or what they've been testing, is they've been finding out that there's some kind of a body-brain barrier or something. They couldn't get medicine. They couldn't get actually any. That's why what makes it so hard to treat when people have dementia and whatnot. So the thing is, now they have gotten to where externally outside they can, I think it's sound waves or like pulsating, kind of like if you ever heard of people that get like kidney stones, they put them in a big vat and bombard them with sound to break up these kidney stones. I think they're using the same type of a technology, I guess, on the head. But what they're finding out is it will actually take the amyloid plaques and it breaks them up into microscopic particles and everything, and it actually is cleansing. And they've done it and actually have restored, laboratory rats and that have, they, of course, they infect them with it, and then they go ahead and see if it'll work. And you have a huge success, and they're moving it into like human trials now, because they said this is one of the biggest things, that if they in fact can treat without all the side effects of all these other medications, if they could treat it with the bombardment of sound waves and everything and clean up the amyloid plaques, it could change the life for all these folks that have, Alzheimer and dementia and everything. So it's really cool. I mean, it's a great website if you ever get a chance to go to it. Excuse me for 1 second. I need to... little bit of the nectar of the gods, some Mountain Dew. So just my little glass. Somebody stole my big one. I had a much bigger mug. I think it was 96 ounces, but it was Mountain Dew. It had the Mountain Dew logo on it. And I guess they cleaned up. I work at a prison. They went to clean it up, and they inadvertently, apparently, threw it away. So, or got rid of it, or somebody lifted it. But it was cool. It was like a one of a kind. I haven't seen them around any lately. So, yeah, there was a lot. Today was just one of those days where, man, it was absolutely unbelievable. It was. I mean, I could not. The whole day was crazy. Coming home was crazy. Dealing with these, think that I'm going to pay $10,000 from a class that they put me in 30 years ago that I never attended. That kind of, it's psychotic thinking. And then I'm trying to think, and then it was funny because the whole day today, I went to work this morning. I got in. I was like, okay, the morning drive. I don't know how many of you folks were with me on the morning drive, but I'm out there doing the morning drive, getting to work, and I'm kind of jazzed up. I'm ready. Day's going to go by quick. It's going to go by fast. I'm looking forward to it being over. And it was, it was a quick day and everything, but it was just, everything was, when I would turn on the news, it would drive me crazy. People were just nuts. They're insane. And it's kind of shocking because I don't like the politics side of it, but I can tell you without a doubt that there's definitely something wrong when people, say, well, we'll take the drugs. We want the influx of heroin and coke and marijuana. And, yeah, we understand that these, gang members and these gangs are going to come over. And we understand that terrorists can come in. That's all right, though. We're cool with that. Where are you going to go with that? So I hear that, and I guess that's kind of why I was thinking there has to be something I'm missing. There's got to be something that says, no, 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 what we really do want is we want the wall, but we just don't. Just say that. You know what? I would have more respect for you if you just simply said, we want to build the wall, but we want to build it right, and we want to do it under our watch so it gets completed right. If you slanted it that way, and weren't telling me you were against the wall, okay, now I'm on board with that. So the wall, which everybody wants, and only a handful of people apparently don't want, now I'm down with you. If you just tell me you're for the wall, you want to do this, and it's going to come, it's eventually going to come, but it won't be during Trump's watch, I'd be cool with that. All right, that's cool. That's cool. We won't do it during his watch. But anyway, I'm sick of politics. Let's just change the topic. Change this, trying to think of what else went on today. On the way to work, we had a crazy lady that was out in the parking lot when I got to work, and I was walking in. She runs up and asked me where her son was. Now, I don't know if for those of you that don't know, I work in a prison. I'm an instructor in a prison, and which they actually even when we were hit here in the Panhandle with a Cat 5 hurricane that devastated Panama City and surrounding areas and we had to evacuate all the inmates from our facility, our correctional facility, to other facilities within the area, until we could get all the repairs done and make sure it's safe and secure again. So obviously there was some lady that hadn't been informed, apparently, that her son was moved from our facility to some other facility. And she shows up and I'm the only one at that time that's walking from my car to the door. And she comes running up to me, and she's like, "Sir, where's my son?" And she's like I'm supposed to know we have 1,000 inmates. Like, I'm supposed to know who her son is. So she's going, "Where's my son?" Blah, 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 blah. And she just was going on and ranting. And so I just looked at her with a straight face, and I said, "Oh, he was transferred to Blackwater." I says, "Or one of our other facilities." I says, "You'll have to get a hold of our corporate office, or you have to get a hold of the people." And I'm like trying to just kind of gently nudge her away from me and push her away so I can get in there, go to work. And she wouldn't let up. "Why didn't somebody notify me?" Why? I says, "Ma'am, I'm not the person to talk to. You've got to talk to this." Well, I'll tell you, I don't know. I don't know what it is. People today, I'm trying to be as understanding, to people when things like this happen. But I will say that it's not easy when you're surrounded by people that, how can I put it? I don't want to say stupid people. I don't want to say that. That's not what I'm thinking. I'm not saying stupid people. I'm just saying when you're surrounded by people that are stupid people. I don't know. That's all I can think of. But it takes you by surprise when there's a lot of people. I think this morning, if you were watching this morning, we were talking about oversharing. There's people that will go in and overshare and start. I mean, they might only know you for 5 or 10 minutes, and they will start to overshare their life and go into all these personal details, personal things, experiences they've had, and you sit there and you're like, what is going on here? I don't even know this person. And if you're like me, I have a really bad, I cannot remember names, okay? If you introduce somebody if we walked into a party together and you introduce somebody and says, "Hey, Brian, this is Steve." I would say, "Hey, Steve, how's it going?" He'd be, "Oh, good." I say, "Yeah," and we might talk for a few minutes, and then we'd walk away. 5 minutes later, when I came back, I couldn't tell you that guy's name. Now, I'd remember his face 20 years from now. I'd remember if I seen this guy somewhere. But I don't remember names. It's just me, I'm sure. I'm sure you guys remember everybody you meet. But here's how my brain works. I have very selective focus and attention, and that's part of that ADHD. And, when I walk in and somebody introduces me to someone, My mind, this is how it works. I immediately decide whether or not that person is important to me. Meaning, am I going to see this person again? Are they going to be in my next meeting? Are they my boss, my boss's boss? Are they somebody that I should know? Or is this just a casual meeting, and I'll never see this person again? And if at that moment, if you don't rank up in the top, 4% or 5% of reasons I would remember you, I won't remember you. That's just how my brain works. It's the way I kind of filter things out. I don't mean to be mean or rude to anybody. I would never do that. But realistically, 5 minutes later, if you come over to me and go, "Hey, Brian," I'm going to go, "Oh, dude, what's up?" That's why. I'm not going to know your name, but you'll be dude. You'll be, "Dude, what's up?" I'll say, "Hey, girlfriend, what's going on?" Anything but your name, because I'm not going to remember your name. And it's not because I don't want to. It's just because my mind selectively said, you're not important enough to remember right now. Maybe if I meet you again, I'll go ahead. Then if I start to see you more than once, I start to remember you. But otherwise, that first meeting is I have like the memory of a goldfish, 3 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever. I just don't remember. And that's one of my things. I'm sure most people would find that rude. I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to be rude, and I wouldn't want to be rude. That's why I hate saying you're just not important enough, because that sounds really rude. But that's not what I mean. I mean, in my life or my circle, I don't think I'm going to see you again or anything. So it doesn't matter if I remember it right off the bat. So I don't know. Just me, little quirks that I have. I mean, there's some people that remember me, and I don't know why. I have situations where people remember me. Now, I had one where my wife and I were back. I'm originally from Michigan, born and raised there, grew up there, went to school there, and I went back 20 years later after I graduated high school, and we were in a little, like an office building, I think it was, and I hear this person yell, "Brian." And I look around. I heard my name, and I was like, I didn't see anybody. And I hear it again, "Brian," really loud. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden he calls my full name. And now I'm like, okay, where is that coming from? And there's a guy at the end of the hall waving and waving, and he starts jogging down the hallway. And I'm waving back because that's the polite thing to do, I guess, So he comes running down. He goes, "Brian Johnson, how you doing?" He starts shaking my hand. And, "Man, how you doing? I haven't seen you in so long." And I have no clue who this guy is. I have no idea. And, of course, I do like everybody else. I'm like, "Oh, man, yeah, it's good to see you again. And how's it going?" And after about a minute or so, he realizes I have no clue who he is. He's like, "Man, you don't remember me, do you?" And I was like, "Not a chance, man." I'm like, "I have no idea." And I apologize. I said, "I'm really sorry." I says, "Have we met?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, we went to school together." Now, let me tell you something. When I graduated high school, I looked nothing like I look today. Nothing. So I says, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, don't you remember? We had wood class together and this and that, and we had shop." And he's like going through this whole, he remembers this stuff so vividly. And I'm going, I don't really remember. And then he said something that started to make me remember. He says, "Yeah," he said, don't you remember? I used to bully you every day after class and this and that." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Remember? And I pinned you up against the wall this one day, and all of a sudden, it all came back. I knew who this guy was." I was like, "Wait a minute. Now it's starting to ring a bell." So he starts to tell me the story. And he goes, "Yeah, now, when I was in high school, there was, just like every high school probably, I don't know, it's probably different today, different groups, but it was the same thing. You had the jocks, which, I played football and wrestled and everything, but you had the burnouts that used to like to exude their authority, or they were like the bullies of today, and then you had different cliques within high school. And when I was my freshman year, I hadn't really, I mean, it literally was like, I hadn't really started playing football. I hadn't started wrestling or doing anything. I was just trying to get the gist of going to high school. Well, this guy was a senior, and he was in my wood class, and he started bullying me on a daily basis pretty much. And well, one day he pinned me up against the wall outside of the wood shop and everything, and he was doing his typical bullying, had his cigarette, and he'd put it near my skin, he'd blow smoke in my face, and just really kind of just bullying, just doing what idiots do back then and probably today. But one of the things that I did that was a little bit different, I guess, than most people, at least this is what he told me. See, back in high school, one of the things I used to like to do, which is juvenile, childish, immature, and I still enjoy doing it today, but I used to enjoy Magic. And I'm not talking about The Gathering, the card game, even though I did play that. But I enjoyed sleight of hand, and I enjoyed doing close-up Magic, and I had taken some schools, taken some classes. I know, can you take classes for that stuff? Yeah. But I enjoyed it. And one of the tricks I did that I had picked up was a trick that was done originally, I believe I had seen it on, I think I had seen either David Copperfield or Doug Henning do it for President Reagan. I seen him do it on TV. They did it with a cigarette. And they took a cigarette and they pushed it through the center of a quarter. So when I was there, I asked the guy, he was smoking his cigarette and he blew the smoke in my face. And I says, I says, you think you're tough? I says, that cigarette's stronger than you are. And he was kind of baffled, and I took him down this little path. And I said, look, let me show you something. I said, I'll prove it. I says, do you have a quarter? And he says, what? And I said, do you have a quarter? So he reached in his pocket and he gave me a quarter. And I said, now let me see your cigarette. And I took his cigarette and I spiked it right in front of him through his quarter. And it was obviously right through the center. And he stepped back and freaked out. And I says, yeah. And I took a puff of it. And I just kind of blew the smoke out, and then I slowly pulled it out of the thing, and then I showed him and I handed it back to him so he could see there was no hole in the quarter. I says, yeah, all the nicotine, all the nasty poisons in that cigarette can eat their way right through a quarter. I says, and right now, I says, you can't even do that. So he laughed about it, and he was giddy about it, and he was really, but he stopped picking on me. A few days, he kept wanting to know how I did the trick, and I wouldn't tell him. So, he pretty much left me alone and kind of made the other guys leave me alone. Now here it is, 20 plus years later, and this guy calls to me in, literally out of nowhere. I have no idea who he is, but he relates that story to me. And as he's telling it to me, I start to smile because I remember it. As he's telling me what I did and everything, and I remember it. And he goes, yeah, he goes, dude, he says, I'm telling you, he goes, that changed. He goes, do you know, from that day forward, I never smoked another cigarette. And I had been smoking, since I was 12 years old or 9 years old, whatever it was. He goes, but I never smoked again. I haven't picked up a cigarette. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. Good job, But it wasn't until after that, I kind of, after that whole event was over, I was kind of like, wow, that was... It just kind of hit me. Wait a minute, that really is kind of weird. So maybe in some small way, inadvertently 20 years ago, way before I ever knew it, I helped this guy in some small way. I helped him not take up smoking and become a lifelong habit, or, all from a magic trick. So you never know, we never know who we're going to touch, who we're going to help. Sometimes it's just a small act. Sometimes it's something like that, which I would never have known about if he had not literally called me out that day, because I didn't know. I really would have never recognized him, and I really was surprised he recognized me. And that's happened many times. I've had people recognize me, and I don't particularly stand out to anybody. I don't have any, to myself anyway. I'm like nothing. I don't have like a giant hump or something you can remember me by. I mean, I'm just me. But it's neat because usually it's the people that in some small way have been touched, or I've had some connection with in some way. But you never know who it's going to be. It's just the weirdest thing to actually meet these folks that 20 years later and to tell you how you impacted them. And in a way like that, I was like, wow, I made a guy stop smoking. That's pretty cool. Didn't try to do that, just didn't want to get my ass kicked, but still pretty cool, But yeah, that happens, from time to time. We all, I guess, have those moments. Most of the times, we want to strangle some folks, but otherwise, I think it's kind of cool. I don't mind it. But I will tell you that I had another once before. Actually, this was probably about 5 years ago. My wife and I, we had been, when you get close to retiring, you start thinking, well, what would you like to do to retire? And one of the things we wanted to do is we wanted to invest in a business, because we'd already been entrepreneurial, we'd had our businesses, but we wanted something that we could do when we're retired. And we started looking at all the different things, and one of the things that we came up with was if you talk to any banker, any loan officer, I should say, one of the most successful businesses around is something that we never thought about. My wife and I never thought about this, but one of the most successful businesses that are out there are the mini storages, those self-storage facilities where you have air-conditioned storage or outdoor storage doors where you pull up. These are businesses that when the economy is doing terrible, people are losing their homes and selling, and they're putting their stuff in storage, and it all goes into these storage, big storage units. Well, when the economy is doing good, people are moving out of their smaller houses, they put their stuff in storage, and they move into bigger houses so they can buy more stuff. And so no matter what the economy does, these storage facilities are awesome. They're like profitable, whether the economy's good or bad. They have the lowest failure rate of any of the commercial lending tools that they give you. They might lend for shopping plazas or shopping malls, but these have the lowest default rate of any of those things, and it's because they're good year round, and in any economy. So we were thinking about building one and everything, and there's a guy that he owned. I think he owned 8 or 10 of them. He owned quite a few. And we had the opportunity. He says, well, look, he says, if you're really serious about getting into the business and you want to learn, he goes, I have a couple that's retiring. Now, at this time, we had just gotten out. We had our own business interests, and we had just got out of it. So we hadn't started anything up, anything new. And he says, but he goes, I have a facility. If you want to manage it, you could manage the facility for me. And I says, well, my wife and I are talking. Well, where's it at? And they say, oh, it's out in Levine, And so we thought about it. He says, and it's great. He says, because not only can you manage, because it has a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, apartment on it. So, oh, really? Yeah, and you get free room, free board, free electricity, free you're living there for free. And it's in a good neighborhood and everything. And so we thought, well, that's definitely interesting because you get to bank all your money. So we took him up on the offer. We said, yeah, we'll give you a year. We'll see if we like him. And we did. And we worked there for a year. And then we told him we may look into it when we get closer to retiring. But we moved on. But the funny part was, this is where it goes where you don't know, you never know. You never know how you're going to impact with somebody. I'm out on the premises. I don't know if you could, if you ever go to these stores, they got these little golf carts, and they got people that drive around outside, and they just kind of look like they're busy, and there's really nothing to do. You pick up cigarette butts if you see a cigarette butt. You try to keep everything clean, right? So I'm tooling around on my little golf cart outside, and my wife, she calls me on. We have these little walkie-talkies, and she says, hey, can you come up front? I have somebody I want you to take and show a storage unit to. I said, okay, great, no problem, be right there. I whip around, and I go flying up to the front, And she walks this lady out the side door, and she goes, yeah, this is Willetta, Williams, and she's looking at a 10-foot by 20-foot storage. Can you? I say, yeah, no problem. Jump on. So she gets on, and she starts crying. I'm driving, I'm like driving and she starts bawling, and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, who? Just trying to, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I got so much going on. I'm like, oh, that's okay, no problem. And she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, just don't worry about it. Okay, so I keep driving, and all of a sudden she starts breaking down and crying again, and I'm like, oh, psycho, man. I'm like, what's going on? So she apologizes again. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I get to the unit. I open up. Here it is. Here's 10 by 20. Is this, I'm just trying to rush through this. And she looks and she goes, yeah, that'll be fine. I can get everything in there. And, and then she starts crying again. Now, by this time, I'm beside myself because I don't know what to do. I know something's wrong. Anyway, I'm sorry. I have just had, this has just been a terrible month for me. And she's going on. And this is where I was telling you, sometimes people just overshare. And she overshared. She said, I love, and now she was in her 60s. She was not a young lady. She was in her 60s. But she says, she's talking about, oh, I lost my best friend, he died, and I was staying at his place. I was evicted from there. I lost my job. And she's going on and on and on. And, and I didn't know what to say. I'm just listening. So I'm listening to her. I said, wow. And then every time I would think it was over, she'd hit me with something else. And this was going on in her life. And this was going on in this life. And she was just so distraught. And I said, okay. And I'm thinking to myself, here's somebody who's definitely, man, got a lot. And it was, she was taking the brunt of everything. She had a lot of bad luck. So I told her, I says, well, you know what? And I says, now she was, as I talked to her, and, I got the sense that she had a certain, she would use certain words or verbiage, she'd say, oh, I used to feel I was so blessed, but now I know that's not the case, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, usually when somebody says I'm blessed, that there's a connotation of having a religious, a background where they're religious, and they have this faith. And so anyway, she said she was blessed. She thought she was blessed, but that's apparently not, what it was. And she's oversharing. And I says, well, look, I says, God is funny. I says, but let me tell you what I believe. I says, can I share this with you? I said, here's what I believe. And then I kind of spoke to her for a few minutes and everything. And she kind of gets this little smile on her face. And she just kind of starts to grin. And I didn't think anything of it. Then the smile gets a little bit bigger, and she gets on the back of the golf cart. And I start to pull away. And then she's just nodding her head. She's shaking her head. And I'm thinking, oh, boy. And then she smiles at me again. She just keeps looking at me. And I'm like, now I'm really kind of, I'm like, oh, man, this something's going on. And then she takes her hand and she smacks me. She just smacks me on my shoulder. She goes, I knew. And she smacks me again. She goes, I knew. And I'm like, okay. I says, well, that's great. So that'll work for you. That's enough. 10 by 20 is big enough. Yeah, that's good. I knew that I was brought here for a reason. God had plans for me. And she's smacking me in the arm. So I'm like, oh, God, whatever. So anyway, we get to the front. Now, this is our first week that we've been there. We're actually being trained. So we're being trained by, what was his name? I think it was Warren or something like that. We're being trained by one of the other store guys. And 1 week we've been there. So I walk in and I tell my wife, I said, yeah, it's going to be fine, right? She'll take the 10 by 20. It's going to be big enough for her. And so she tells me, she goes, honey, you better hang on to him. She goes, he is blessed, and he's been such a blessing to me today. And she starts, just talking. And the guy who's training me is down looking at me, and I'm just kind of looking at him like, "Yeah, I don't know." So she goes, "Honey," she goes, "let me tell you, honey, this is for you." And she starts singing. Now we're in a room that's maybe 20 by 20, if that. Or she starts singing in this like gospel voice, very beautiful voice, and she's and my trainer looks at me like, and he's like, what, like this? And I was like, oh no, I had nothing to say. I don't know what was going on, right? So she does her little singing and everything, and then she leaves. She rents the thing and she leaves. And she comes back, loads it, and we see her back throughout the year. She's, she has a little dog. She comes in and she'll say hi and she'll pay her bill and everything. We have chit chat, and so in and out throughout the year while we're there. So we're learning the ropes. We learn the facility. We like the idea of the business, and we'll probably end up using that to retire. We're kind of on top of it. Well, the year's up. And we tell our friends, says, hey, look, I says, we've enjoyed it and it's been great, but we're ready to kind of move on. We have some other ideas, things we want to do right now. So we give her a notice, and she comes in 2 days before we're to leave, 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 days before we're to leave. She comes in, and to pay her bill, and we say goodbye. And I say, oh, well, hey, I'm glad you came in. I can say goodbye to you, to your face, and I just want to say we appreciate you, and it was really nice meeting you. And she's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And I was like, well, we're leaving. We're going on. We have some other things we're going to be doing. And she starts crying again. Now, this is like a repeat of the first time. She's like crying, and we're like, oh, God, And I'm like, well, what is it? She goes, oh, no. She goes, I'm just, and she goes, you just don't understand. You don't understand. I was like, well, try me. What's going on? Why are you so, what are you crying? She goes, you don't understand. You changed my life so much, and you just don't know. And I was like, well, what? And she says, apparently what she tells us is this. She says, when I came last year, and I came here to get this 10 by 20, she had set everything up. She was committing suicide that night. Everything was going to be put into the thing. She had the keys. She was giving it all to her kids, and she was committing suicide. And she says, yes, she goes, what you said to me touched me so much, and it brought a whole new hope into my heart, and blah, blah. And she just went on and on. And I was speechless. I didn't know what to say. I mean, I was like, what do you say to something like that? I mean, this is a lady that I spent 5 minutes with outside, and she says that, she had it all planned out and that she was going to be committing suicide, but what I said to her was so, it touched her so much, and this and that. Now, she was religious. She had actually trained under the original, not Joel Osteen, the young guy, but his father, and she'd also mentored under T.D. Jakes, so she was a very religious lady, but she apparently was lost when she came in that day. But so she continued to cry, and it was funny because during the year we didn't put it together. Even her kids would come in and out, and they would say, what did you do to my mother? What did you say to her? What did you do? And we were like, we didn't do it. What are you talking about? Like, she's just a whole different person now, and she told us that you talked to her, and and I was like, oh, well, that's great. I'm glad we could help. Well, the funny part was, now a year later, I find this out, right? She kind of drops that bombshell. We're like, wow, that was interesting. I didn't really anticipate that. Well, then when we're laying in bed that night, and the part that what really hits me, and it hits me in the middle of the night, and I'm just kind of like staring up. I'm just kind of staring up at the ceiling, and I could feel this tear like running down my cheek, and I was like, man, it's just. And what it was what really knocked me out was the fact that I remember that day so vividly from a year ago. I remembered every single thing. I remembered the drive in the car. I remember her breaking down and crying numerous times. I remember opening the door and showing her. I remember that day like it was fresh, like it had just happened. But the only thing I couldn't remember was what I said to her. When I said, let me share what I think. Basically I was giving her, because she was talking about how she thought she was blessed, but she wasn't blessed. And I says, well, let me tell you what I think. And I shared some thoughts with her. I couldn't remember anything that I had said. And I mean, I tried. I was like, what did I say? And I think my wife says, she says, well, maybe those words weren't meant for you to hear. Meaning like it was words that she was supposed to hear, but not me, that type of thing. And that even impacted me more. I was like, oh, whoa, that's so deep. I was like, it was just one of those moments where you have no idea. You have no idea who you're going to touch, who you're going to impact, what your words mean to someone. I hear about all these kids bullying kids, and they're at such a young age, they don't understand the power that they have. The power that they have to hurt someone, that's nothing. Everybody has that. Every single person in the world has the ability to hurt someone else. But very few have the ability to lift someone up, to elevate somebody, to make them feel better, feel greater, very few people do that. And I felt so, when she had said that, I felt so honored to think, wow, I might have been one of those people in her life that made a difference in some way. And apparently it was in a big way. And I would never have known it. If she didn't come in to pay her bill, I would literally have went without ever knowing that. And it would have, of course, it would have made no difference to me because I wouldn't have known. And it probably, she would have went, oh, I didn't get a chance to tell him. But it was that moment that I realized, wow, how many times do we come in contact with people in our lives? I mean, how many times do we come in contact where we inspire, we motivate, where we are a healing factor, or we help them in some way, but yet we never know about it? I mean, we often find out when we hurt somebody because they're very quick to tell you that they were hurt or that we hurt them. But what was really cool is to be able to say, wow, with the smoking, the guy that was smoking, I found it out. And then with this girl, this lady, I found it. But how many other times have there been? Or have there been other times? I don't know. But that's kind of where I think that if the kids could go through school, we could kind of convey that anybody can hurt you. Everybody can hurt everybody. That's not a hard thing to do. But what is a hard thing to do is to be that positive impact, to be that spark, to be that light, to give something to them that they take away from being with you that is a positive. That's tough. That's really tough. And I think that if kids would rise to that challenge and say, you know what? I know this person's down. I know this person maybe was getting picked on by someone else, but I'm going to be a positive something to that person. That's cool. That's kind of where I was, go the train of thought. As I ramble, just kind of bear with me. I just kind of want the whole streaming is brand new to me, so I haven't figured out everything yet. I do know that it's important to have a time slot, and I'm trying to keep it. I do the morning drive for you guys around 6:15 in the morning. I do the afternoon drive around 3 to 3:30, depending as soon as I get off work. Usually, lately it's been about 3, but it'll probably be a little bit later as the inmates come back. And then I'm going to try and do this Monday through Friday at 7 o'clock. And we'll do it for an hour, maybe, or 2 hours. Just eventually, my goal is to have people actually watching that will chat, with me and actually have some input or follow me. I love it. I got people. I was finally, what's the best way to say it? I was finally deflowered the other day when I had, I got my first followers that started to follow my channel, which made me feel great because you love to know that there's people out there that are actually watching, and you're like, oh, wow, this is great. I know that I'm actually reaching people because this is like being in radio. I was an executive producer in Detroit. It's like being in radio. You're talking to people you can't physically see, but they're out there. You just kind of hope you're reaching them and talking to them. And it's funny because when I got the followers, and that's why I hope if you're watching, do me a favor, go over to Twitch and just follow me. Just click or on whatever platform you're on. If you're on, let me see, I'm out on Twitch, Mixer, Smashcast, Periscope, Stream Me, YouTube. I'm on quite a few different platforms. So if you could follow me or subscribe to me there, I'd appreciate it. I mean, it means a lot just to know that you're out there, and every now and then I get lucky and you might click on my channel and listen for a few minutes and go, yeah, this guy's boring. He ain't talking about anything that interests me. Or he might be like, well, you know what? Maybe I'll chime in and we could talk about something else. Because, I mean, my day is filled with just an abyss of worthless information. I mean, so we all go through our days, and every now and then it's nice to just kind of chill out with each other and have a few laughs and whatnot. Excuse me. I'll get some more nectar. I never thought I would like Diet Mountain Dew. Actually, let me rephrase that. I never thought I'd like diet anything. Yeah, it just was not a diet drinker. But I'm trying to do the low carb thing. Oh, I did wait for those. I don't know if you've watched the earlier videos where I said New Year's was going to be. We all make those resolutions that we try to keep. Right now, I made this year. I make the same resolution. I make 3 resolutions every year without fail. The first one is always been I make a New Year's resolution to stop smoking, and I every year I do it. I say I'm going to stop smoking. I'm not smoking cigarettes this year, period. And I make that that New Year's resolution for a reason. I make it because I don't smoke. I never have. I have a cigar if there's a real special occasion once a year or something, but that's it. So when I make that resolution, I know I can keep it. It's something that I've made this resolution, I can keep it, and I know I'm going to be fine. But I think that's the first one I'll make. The second one is usually one for me, and this year was I stepped on the scales, and I was 306 pounds. Heaviest I've ever been in my entire life. In the military, I was about 155. So the weight gain is just kind of like month, and I started thinking about, wow, 300. I was 150. I'm 306 pounds. 150 pounds. That's like 15 10-pound bowling balls. And I just picture myself holding 15 of these 10-pound bowling balls in my arms. That's how much more I weigh today than I did back in the day. And that's huge. That is a huge amount of weight to actually carry around every single day. I'm sure it's bad for my heart and everything else. So I was like, man, I've got to lose this weight. So this year, I weighed in. I don't know if you guys saw the video. I videotaped it and put it up. If you're one of my Patreons, if you're on Patreon, the Patreon account, I have all those videos, reserved for you guys for the weight loss stuff. But one of the things I did is I weighed in, and I weighed in at 306, I think it was, or 303, somewhere in there. But today, I've been on it since, after New Year, and so I now have done my weigh-in today, and from 30, I want to say it was 306 or 303, whatever, somewhere around there. Today I was at 189, and I'm 7 days into the new year. So it went from I'm just going to say 303. So it went from 303 to 189, and I have been eating like a pig. I've got another bucket of wings in the fridge. This diet I'm on is I just eat, and the weight just keeps falling off. And I've done this before with the same. I was going to do the keto diet. The official. Hey, how's it going? Australia. Wow, that's a great question. I think I don't know what part you heard or what I was talking about, but one of the things that in my life you look at with those who make me miserable. See, it's always been. I mean, I've gone through things in my life too the only thing that I could come up with that helped me, that made a lot of sense, was every decision I ever made in my entire life. It came down to just those two. I don't know if you saw if you watched that talk we had, but it comes down to two things. You're either trying to gain pleasure or you're trying to avoid pain. And that's kind of where it was at. Were you here when I was talking about that? Because that's, to me, what everything boils down to in our lives, why we make the decisions we make. Because what's most real to us at that moment, what's most real is we're either trying to avoid pain or we're trying to gain pleasure. And that's why we make these decisions. So, it's a great question, but I think that, when I look at like relationships in general, I've known people that are that were in abusive relationships. I mean, these are physical relationships where they're hit or they're abused, and they stay. And I could never understand why they stay. And I would even have conversation. Why do you stay with this guy? Why you're not happy? He's bad for you. He makes you feel bad about yourself. And I couldn't understand it. And what it was is I started to realize, as this person was sharing with me, they would say, well, if we break up, if we separate, if we get a divorce, if this happens, then I'm going to be a failure to my family, my friends. Okay, I will continue to say this. Okay. So are you basically saying that what you're asking is, do they stay to be will you find happiness? I don't know. See, it's some people continue to stay miserable and pain from somebody who they see them. So are you saying that it's a comfort issue? We're just comfortable? Is that kind of, because that's kind of what I'm hearing here, is just like, even though I'm miserable, I'm going to stay here because I'm comfortable with this person and I have somebody, is that, okay, so that's kind of it. It's okay. I personally don't think that's good for anybody. I mean, anybody that loves me, anybody that loves you, for example, they would want you to be happy. That's kind of what makes us who we are. We don't want other people to be miserable. We don't want to see people suffering and being miserable or being unhappy. So I would think that if I'm in a situation and I'm comfortable, because that's the only person I've ever known, kind of cheating myself, because what if, and I'm not, I happen to believe there's always something greater. There's always something better. You're never taken out of one situation without finding something better or greater. And I think it's kind of like cheating. It's kind of cheating yourself. I mean, if you're just there out of comfort and you're not getting anything, you're not growing, you're not becoming better, you're not becoming who you want to be, you're not becoming somebody that you're happy with, there's no future in that. I mean, even if you have kids, even some of the most successful families are families that are apart. I mean, they're families that have separate, basically divorced couples or whatever. I'm not sure if you have kids involved or if they're older or smaller or younger. I don't know. But to me, if I'm in a situation, what you're going on about the whole, we'll get better. Yeah. And I think you're right. I was to hope it gets better for them both. but at a certain point in time, I mean, and that's good early on. I mean, that's good like in early relationships. So, you're together for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I can see that kind of, because I mean, I was in that. I was always in relationships before that I really wanted to go one way that ended up going another way. But I really truly think that if if people are there just hoping that it'll get better, there has to be some kind of connection between the two people that are together. They both have to feel that, I guess, is it one-sided? Where, for example, do you feel this way? Do you feel that this deep passion, this deep love for this person, and this other person doesn't feel it? Or do you not feel it, but you think this other person feels it, Well, see, but you just said, okay, so in there, it makes you feel special and welcome to them. So if you feel special, if you feel welcome in that, what pain could there be? I mean, that's a positive thing. I mean, now, like, if they're abusive or if there's that side of it, but because there's a lot, I don't know if you've ever seen it where they'll say, I'll never do that again. I don't know if you've ever seen those type of things. It's like, oh, I'll never do it again. I'll never do this again. They're going to do it again. It's just in that moment there to gain your trust or sympathy or acceptance. They're going to say, I'll never do it again. But I guess I'd have to understand a little bit more about, like, would you rather stay with somebody who makes you feel special and welcome, even if you feel some pain from staying with them? See, if you feel special, if you're welcome, what pain? I guess that's kind of my question, because to me that actually sounds like it's a good thing. It sounds like it's a good thing. It doesn't sound like it's a bad thing. It sounds like there's something there that, and I'm assuming it's both of you feel the same way, that you're. Am I getting there? I mean, I'm just trying to understand, because you feel you would rather stay who truly makes you feel special. Yeah, see, the staying part is the part that's tough for me, because as long as you're happy, you're both happy, there is no conflict there. Okay, I got you. No, it's no worries. I'm not worried about it. I was just trying to think that, like, every relationship I was in. I mean, I was always in. I mean, and it's funny because I literally, and I'm not making this up, my entire life, all the relationships I've ever had, I can probably count on two hands. I mean, when I'm talking real relationships, not you always have the people that you date or the people that you go out with, party with, or whatever. You always have those type, and I don't really consider those serious. I don't think those are serious dates. I think those are kind of like, just casual experiences or growth experiences. But most of the serious relationships that I had, I could easily count on maybe even one hand. And everybody I've ever been with, period, has always been a mutual thing. And I hate to say it like this, but you're probably gonna disagree. But there's a selfish side that we all have. We all have this selfish side to us. People say are so wrong. That I would agree with. Yes, they are so wrong with exactly, and that's. We are, people in general are very self-serving. We really truly, it's all about me, my, I. That's kind of how society has made everybody. So when people talk about relationships or love, these are great words. They're great words to use, and they bring a sense of security to a relationship, and they make people feel warm and fuzzy. But when you just throw them out there, I mean, you can meet somebody for a week and love them. Come on, I mean, that's, I don't know. Personally, for me, I don't believe in love at first sight. I believe in lust at first bite type of thing, but I don't believe in love at first sight. I believe that everything comes with growth. There is no immediate, everything comes from growth. But we actually love the fact that we are a self-serving people. We want to be in things and we want to be with people and we want to surround ourselves with the things that make us happy and feel good. And whether that's with, that's why a lot of times it's so funny. You'll hear people talk about, and I'm not going to get involved. I don't know what your religious background is or anything, but people say, well, you can't have gays in the military. You can't have this. They always talk about and the thing is, that mentality is so ridiculous. No, I don't think people, personally, I don't think anybody could love anybody in a week. And I'll tell you why, because you don't know anybody in a week, period. You just don't. I mean, people, you look at just life in general. If I met somebody for a week, even if I was with you for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I don't know you. Okay, I can be infatuated with you. I could be in lust with you. I could admire you. I could, fawn over you. But I couldn't. You can't really love somebody in a week because you don't. It takes you. I've been married 30 years, 30 to the same woman, one person, 30 years. I still every day learn something about my wife. Everything, and it doesn't matter what it is. It's always some little thing that I learn. It's that's what love is. It's a lifetime of learning with someone. But let me follow this up. If you were to ask me when I met my wife the first time, I was like the true epitome of a stalker. I mean, if there was a definition of a stalker, ask her. That was me. I was the stalker. I met her, and I actually went to where she worked, and I like stalked her. I mean, that was kind of scary, but it was in a funny, nice kind of way. But we had only dated for less than a few months. So let me make sure you understand. We had only seriously dated, went out with each other for just a few months, and we got married. And we've been married for 30 years. So, I mean, it happens. What's the definition between two people? Well, I can only speak for me. When, like you say, how did you know you loved your wife or knew? I didn't, and my wife didn't either, because love is just like everything else in life. It's a chance. It's a chance to be happy. It's a chance to be hurt. It's a chance to be devastated, torn, ripped. It's so many emotions wrapped up into one. It's a very dangerous thing because people are afraid to be hurt. That's our defense mechanism is we don't want to be hurt. So love is really scary. So when you say, how did you know you when I got married, and I'll tell my wife this, she knows, I couldn't say I was in love at that point. I could say that, you know what? I could say, I love you. I felt love, but was it a never-ending, for the rest of my life, amen love? I didn't know that yet. It took literally taking that leap of faith. I had to take the leap of faith and say, it feels right. It might not be right. It might not be right. And that was the whole thing I told her I says, look, I'm only doing this once, because she wanted to get married. I really didn't care if we got married because it was more important to her to have a piece of paper that said we were married. But here's my thought on the whole marriage. All that piece of paper really is. Because let me tell you, and I'm going to be honest, at least here in the U.S., what did you know? Or if you're aware of. Oh, what did she provide that made you know? You're going to laugh when I say this. My daughter, we had a baby right after, very short time after meeting and going out. And at that point, I was more sold because I really felt the beauty that we had made together was it was eternal. I mean, it was something that I was willing to commit the rest of my life to making it work because of kids. I mean, kids change your life. They change your world. But in so many ways, it's tragic because some people just, even kids, when they're born, the parents still go separate ways. They don't often feel the same way as each other. But my wife and I were really that was it. When we got married, we were young. I was young. Actually, I was just old enough to drink a beer. I just turned 21 when I got married, 30 years. But it wasn't something that love is very arbitrary to the individual. When you meet somebody and you say, I love somebody, or I have this feeling, my wife, for me, it was the way she made me feel. That was one of the things she knew going into the marriage, before we ever said our vows. She knew already. She knew that I was childish, juvenile, immature. She knew these things. She knew a lot of my faults, and she was okay with it. She was willing to kind of oversee the bad things that I were. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a realist. I mean, you can love somebody for example, and my wife is probably watching this right now. She's probably watching or whatever. But if my wife passed away, if she died, I would have a mourning period. I would, you mourn, you're upset, you're emotional, and it would probably take me, days to get over it. Kidding, no. But it would be where I would move on with my life, not because I feel but that's what she would want. I mean, it's not just that. Anybody that loves you, that really loves you, if you lose them if I died tomorrow and had a heart attack and dropped, I would want her to find happiness. I would want her to find somebody better than me, hopefully. Somebody that really, inspires her the way she's inspired me throughout my life. I mean, right now, I cannot think what it would be like to wake up and not have her by my side. That's when you kind of know that after all these years, you still can't imagine your life without that person. But if that was to occur and something did happen to her or to me, anybody that really truly cares for you, if they've ever loved you or ever cared for you, they want you to be happy. They want you to go find somebody that makes you smile, laugh, and all those things in your life that makes you shine. The very reason that they fell in love with you in the beginning is what they want to make sure, basically comes out for the rest of your life. That's how much they love you. So, well, for example, mothers and fathers. I lost both mine. My father and my mother are both gone. Now, if my mother, I know beyond a doubt loved me. I mean, my father, beyond a doubt, I know loved me. If, for example, my mother passed away, and my father says, look, I met another woman, I want to get married, and I want to have the family. Now, the odds are, the chances are that I would call his new wife Mom are probably pretty slim, okay? But at the same time, I love my father. I would want my father to be happy. So if this woman makes my father happy, I don't want to be a sense of pain or I don't want to cause a sense of strife. I want to basically make my father happy, and I can do that by welcoming him. Not so much because nobody can ever take. I mean, let's be honest. Nobody's going to take the place of a mother or a father, or it's just not going to happen. So, but the thing is, there are other relationships that, for the sake of the other mother or father. Okay. I cost having another mother. Oh, you lost a relationship. But you see, and I think that's part of what you experienced in that, not wife, right? And here, and I hate to say this because it's going to sound condescending in some way, but when I was 16, when I was young, if I was in the exact same situation as you, I could see it. I could understand it 100%. But this is the dumbest thing, and you've heard it 1,000 times. People will say, with age comes wisdom. And I'll be damned if that ain't true, because as I look back and I think to myself, there's so many things in my life that I have been so selfish over. And I mean, this is just from the time growing up and even into adulthood. Because once again, it's all about my feelings. It's all about me, what I want, and that's the thing is, your mother knows, she passed away. She knows nobody will ever take her spot in your heart. She knows that. You know that. Your father knows that. Even this lady or the girlfriend or the wife, she knows she can never be your mother. But what she can hope for is to be that friend, to be that person that you come to trust and you come to, it's not that she's trying to replace mom, because they can't, and they know that. But I think that it's not worth losing a father over it. I mean, it's not worth having some kind of a bad relationship with a dad because your mom doesn't want that. She wouldn't have wanted that. And I think what happens is, his happiness is just as important as yours. And think of it from a dad's standpoint. It kind of tears the father apart, too, because he doesn't feel he just lost a wife. He feels he lost a daughter as well, or a son, depending on, the situation. But I think that as I got older, it was kind of like, you know what? I want my dad to be happy. I want my mom to be happy. They actually were married long time as well, just like I have. But it's not always about, but I didn't see it until I was older. Not everything in life is always about me, what I want, what makes me happy. And I didn't see that. And I ended up hurting people. I ended up hurting situations because I didn't see that. Not that I didn't want to see it. It's just what's most real. What's most real is that moment where I realized, you know what? It's not all about me. And then when I see him happy, I'm happy. And it's just, I don't know. Does it make sense? Probably not. I'm here. I do Monday mornings. I stream in my car going to work at about 6:15 in the morning. I stream in the afternoon coming back about 3:15, something like that. But I'm here Monday through Friday at 7 o'clock. I try to be here and just kind of chill out. And I'm brand new to streaming, so be patient with me if I make some glitches and mistakes. I'm just learning how to do this thing, so it's I make mistakes too. I'm not really a gamer. I've tried to game. I tried Hitman 2, and I tried some other stuff. I just don't have the patience for it. So, but yeah, it's fun. This has actually been really fun. I'm glad when people stop by and chat and follow me. If you're on, definitely. What made you choose to stream? I don't know. It got to be one of these the guys I watch on Twitch. He has such a good time doing it. It's fun, and I don't have very many hobbies or pastime. I love to. I don't know if I should tell you this, but I love to play like No Limit Hold'em. I love poker. I love I love to go to poker tournaments. That's kind of what I like to do for fun. Or I'm a huge movie buff. If there's a movie out, I will sometimes on Fridays when all the movies come out, I will literally go see 3 movies on Saturday. I'll see one in the morning or the after. So I have things that I enjoy, but I think that this kind of is very relaxing for me. It's just a way where you can meet people, you can kind of talk to people, and you can talk about anything. There's things that bother me. I mean, I don't know if you were watching when I was ranting about this. Here in America, they got our president, Donald Trump, and love him or hate him. There's all kinds of things, and I'm just not into politics. I'm just not. But, so I just kind of thought streaming would be fun and something that I would enjoy, and I enjoy talking to people. And I love, when, I'm reading kind of what you went through, and I'm like, you know what? If I was going through the exact same thing, it's really easy now. It's not so easy back then, but I very easily can point to all the points along my life of why I made certain decisions and what I was thinking. And sometimes they say you can't turn back time. Well, sometimes you can't. But sometimes you can. Sometimes there's, like, for example, if you felt you lost a relationship with your dad, you know what? If your dad's still around, I don't know if he's still around, nothing's lost. Nothing, and especially parents understand everything. So no matter what mistakes my kids make, I have kids, well, I have few kids. No matter what mistakes they make, or if they hurt me, and they've hurt me before, and they're still my kids. They're always going to be kids. So, well, that's great. I appreciate you coming on. And what is the biggest thing that I've regretted? Oh, the list is long. Trust me. So you're just looking for one, my biggest one, huh? Boy, that's a tough one. I would say the biggest mistake that I most regret in my life. My dad, he passed away. He died when he was 59. So that, yeah, that would be the biggest regret. I was young, so so many things I didn't say, so many stupid things I did, and I let it all weigh on my shoulders because I was so stupid in so many ways and so many. And you look back and now, and that's what I'm saying to you. Right now where you are, your time and place. The mistakes are so easy to make. They're so easy to make because we make them. We all make them. I mean, I've done it 1,000 times. But when he was young, my dad was 59, and we were very close. Yeah, and that's kind of where it was with my dad and my mother, and they did everything for me. They were the greatest, and I always wanted to make them proud. That was I mean, in my mind, that was it. You want to make them proud, and I hope they both passed away, knowing that I tried. So, hey, you, look at me. I'm like, yeah, it's not something that but yeah, I have a lot of regrets, a lot of things that I would do different. And it's only because now I can see things different. At the time when I went through all this stuff, at the time I did all these things, you never think sometimes about the other person. Everything in my life has always been me. I'm upset, I'm sad, I'm this, I'm that, and I always put myself. I didn't think about anyone else or how what I was doing was affecting anyone else. So yeah, if I had a list, man, I'm telling you, it would be a mile long of regrets, and that's not a way I want to live. And that's kind of now as I've gotten older, I don't live like that anymore. If I have something to say, I say it. If I and if I have something that's gonna hurt somebody, I'm a little less quick to say it than I used to be. I used to be a guy that was very how can I put it? I was very curt. I mean, I was very, if I had something to say, I was going to say it. So today I don't feel so bad because I don't act the same, and I don't put myself first very often now because there's really nothing there's no reason to now. I mean, when I was younger, I was always trying to get ahead. I was always it was always the next conquest, always the next challenge. Always, I mean, literally from the time I was in school, it was always, I went in the Army. I wanted to be able to do anything I set my mind to. I didn't want anybody to tell me I couldn't do something. And if they did tell me I couldn't do something, I was going to prove them wrong because I knew that I could do anything I set my mind to. And that was the frustrating part, is because people, they'll tell you to your face that they want you to succeed, but many times they don't. They feel that your success would in some way elevate you over them, and they don't want that. So they might say, like, if you say, "Oh, my schooling, don't even go there." But I got beat up by girl. Oh God, let me tell you, you get a kick out of this. Yeah, it was much easier without social media, but I don't know. I think it was kind of hard. Like, for example, I was raised in a family. My dad raised me to never, ever strike a woman. You never hit a woman. That's the sign of weakness, and only a weak man will strike a woman. And he, from the time I could remember, you were never to hit a woman. Well, one day, and I think I was, I think it was in junior high or, I think it was junior high. There was a girl that would chase me home every single day. I'd get off the bus, because I don't know if you guys ride buses or if you walk to school, but we'd ride a bus. I'd get off the bus, and this girl would chase me down the road till she caught me, and then she would tear my clothes, and she would, she'd fight me, and she'd just, and I would never hit her. I would never strike her back, never do anything. And finally, this went on for like weeks, and so I'm getting my ass kicked by this girl, and now I'm becoming, everybody's like riding my bus just to come watch my ass kicking, so they could watch this girl beat me up, and I would sit there and take it. So finally, after, would you ever find yourself? Oh, I was a real easy target. Oh yeah, I made myself an easy target by being just who I am. And most people don't know how to be who they are. When you're in high school, you're trying to be who other people want you to be or perceive you to be. Most people just don't know how to be who they are. I've always known be myself, and if it pissed people off and they didn't like me, you know what? Screw them. I could care less. But unfortunately, when I grew up, I don't know how it is today, but when I grew up, being different got your ass kicked. I mean, that's how. But it took me to finally, step up, and I actually did. I smacked this girl one time. That's all it took. One time in the face. It was an open hand smack, and I smacked her, and she never came after me again. Her brother, on the other hand, had something to say. But him, I didn't mind, So, is it the same now? Being different is right. See, that's so. I never understood it. I never understood, even in my day, being different, because I was different. There was a lot of my friends were different, and I think that was the thing that really confused me even back then, is like, But I had a friend of mine back then who really kind of put things in perspective. I mean, he really did. He was a great Mark Forrest. He was gay. He was actually one of my friends, but he put things in perspective. And one day he pulled me aside. I was kind of upset, and he says, "Let me explain something." He goes, "None of these people matter." He goes, "In 10 years, none of them will matter." And I thought about that, and he says, "You're letting yourself be miserable. You're letting them steal your joy, and they just don't matter." And after I was kind of sunk in a while, I laughed about it and went, you know what? He's really right. I mean, none of the people, do you know, like I was in high school, I seen everybody that I ever went to high school with. Now, I had a lot of great friends in high school, and I had a lot of not so great friends, but every single person in high school, when I graduated high school, I saw very few of them again. And I mean, the ones that I know, a lot of them ended up in jail. A lot of them ended up in divorces, broken relationships. And that would be the same. Yeah, when I got out, as I was saying, I didn't see any of the people I went to school with. I just and I don't want to sound conceited because I don't mean this to be that way, but I've always known. I mean, I've always known I was better than most people I met. And I don't mean that to be conceited and be like, oh, but I've always known it. It's never been a doubt. And what made it really easy to cement in my head was just their own actions. Their own actions spoke volumes. And I knew, and all through my adult life, every time I would meet somebody and everything, and I would hear, I always knew in the back of my head that I was better than these people. When, people would come up and they might have more money, they might have a fancier car, they might have this, but the truth was, no matter what they had, tangible, physical items, I knew I was still a better person than they were. And I felt that. Now, then there was times where as I grew up and everything, and I let that feed in my brain, I realized, it's not that I'm better than anybody. It's just that I was, over time I just became smarter than they were because they put most of the people I knew put value on the wrong things. When you don't have your life in order and in perspective and you put the value on the wrong things, you don't run your life runs you. I mean, that's kind of like today when people have jobs. There's people that they work so hard earning a living, they don't live a life. When you don't control your life will control you. When you put too much faith in any one thing, the wrong thing, you're letting something else guide you that really shouldn't. And I don't know, it's hard to explain because you have to know who you are. You've got to be comfortable with who you are. Because once you're comfortable with who you are, you'll realize no one else matters. You're going to have a few good friends that'll continue to be a few good friends. Then you're going to have other people that are just, they just don't matter because they're not ever going to be anything in your life. But anybody who truly knows you, they're going to learn, they're going to know you. And you know what? Those are the people that you're going to surround yourself with. Those are the ones that are going to make you who you are and who you're meant to be. So, my dad used to tell me, he says, you are the company you keep. I didn't even know, at the time, I didn't know what that meant. You are the company you keep. Is that, but as then I started, as I got older, I was like, okay, so if I want to be a loser, I hang around with losers. If I want to be a druggie, I hang around with druggies. If I want to be this, I hang around with that. So I kind of understood it. It just took a while because, I was so headstrong in so many ways. I was so headstrong. I love travel. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, you don't have to live a 9-to-5 life, really. See, life is what you make of it. So growing up is not a big deal. When you get older and you're like, for right now, you love, especially if you have a love of photography, the world, I'm going to tell you, if I could travel, I would travel full time. I loved it. I worked for a company, and that's what I did. I got to travel all over the world to places I would never have seen. I would never have made it to Costa Rica. I would never have been to Paris or Belgium or Berlin, or I would never have been to all the places that I've been in my life. And I have pictures. I have pictures of cathedrals and the Louvre Museum, and I love traveling. So there's nothing. And if you're into photography, there's a world out there that is just waiting to be brought to people in pictures. So that's a great thing. But it's not getting old. It's a matter of maturing and living your life and being happy. And you don't got to do it 9 to 5. That's probably why one day I was watching Twitch, and I was watching a streamer that on Twitch TV or whatever, they have these where people can donate bits and tips and all this stuff to you, right? So I'm watching this guy, the streamer, and he's getting all these bits. He ended up making over like $1,200, I think it was, $1,200, $1,500. That, while I was viewing, I watched him for about an hour. And in about 1 hour, he made close to $1,500 in tips and bits that people were donating. And at that moment, I realized he's made his life. He's doing what he wants. He's a gamer. He's got sponsors. He's got people that are donating to him. And he's playing a game. That's all he's doing. And I thought to myself, wow, what a perfect life. You don't have to do 9 to 5. He was playing it, I think it was like 12 midnight until I watched him from 12 midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning. And he's just playing games. And I thought, and that's kind of why I said, you know what, I'll stream. I'll set up my stream, and I'll stream because I like to do it. And if anything comes of it, that's great. But if not, not a big deal. See, you see what I'm saying, though? He makes an incredible amount. Now imagine if you had yourself a live stream with photographs where you would show the photos and tell a little bit of story or history behind the photos. I'd watch that. But for Twitch and YouTube, it takes... Yeah, but that foundation is just like me right now. It's me and you. Me and you are talking, and there's nobody else watching probably. But we're having a conversation here. This stream may grow. It may take a year to get bigger until I got a decent, bunch of followers or whatever. But until then, these are the moments that are the most enjoyable, where you actually have followers that you can talk with and communicate with. So yeah, he had a huge stream, and he's making money. And yeah, it might take time to build a foundation, but everything in life takes time. There is no, and that, man, I mean that sincerely, there is no quick road to anything. Not to success, not to make money. There's no get rich quick. None of that works. Everything comes in time. And that's kind of what it has to be. I've been streaming for 7 days. So January 1st. Until January 1st, I was putting together the equipment. I have a brother who's kind of been my guard. He's kind of been telling me what I need, because I thought I could stream with just my laptop. I said, hey, I got a cam on my laptop. Can I stream? And he says, oh no, you got to get a 50-inch monitor and then another monitor, and you got to get all the. So I spent thousands of dollars, and then when it all came down to it, a friend of mine says, 65 to January 1st. 7 days and 8 followers, 365 by January 1st. That would be cool. That would be, you know what? That would be 1 year. If I average just one person every day, that would be awesome. Then I'd have 365 at the end of the year. Perfect. But yeah, I'm not a long-time streamer. As I said, I'm new to it, but I found out later all I needed was a laptop, and the laptop had a webcam on it, and I could have done everything off of that. I didn't need to buy all this stuff, but it was kind of funny because I've learned a lot. So while, yes, I could have easily done it with just a webcam and a PC, or just then I found out I could have actually done it. Are you ready for this? Hold on, I could do everything I'm doing right now on this, my cell phone. I had no clue I could do the live stream and everything with just this. I didn't know that. And then and matter of fact, I've been doing it. That's how I do my morning stream and my evening stream. I just do it on my phone. Go figure. I was just kind of laughing. I'm going, I thought it was going to be way harder, ended up being real easy. I could have done it in a million different ways. Now, if you like photography I'm telling you, don't be afraid to grow up, man. And the 9 to 5 grind is only there if that's what you want. I mean, there's some people that are happy working for other people. Actually, there's some people that need to work for other people because that's their comfort zone. That's where they feel they make the biggest difference and that they can contribute and get a paycheck and pay for the luxuries in life like food, shelter, clothing, But I personally never liked the 9 to 5. Like now, today, as I get up at what I was telling you, I get up at 6 o'clock. I'm out that door at 6:15 streaming, and I come home about 3:30. I hate working those hours. What hobbies do I like? Watch the Eagles and Bears game. Once upon a time I was into sports. Once upon a time I loved watching. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, originally here in the States. I loved watching, everything. I loved watching the Detroit Red Wings. I still enjoy the Detroit Red Wings, and I used to love watching sports. Not so much anymore. I don't have the time to devote to learning all the players and all. I just don't have the time to do that because I want to do things like this. I want to stream. I want to new experiences. I don't get that much enjoyment from watching sports or anything. Very much not too much TV. I do movies. I love movies, so that's kind of a hobby. I love to go see the new releases. Excuse me. My guitar. I play guitar when I feel around. Well, I haven't played it in probably months, but I mean when I get the urge, I'll go ahead and play a little guitar, strum something. I like poker. I like going to Las Vegas and playing poker tournaments. That's kind of a hobby, and I like this streaming. I love music. I'm very eclectic with my music tastes. I'm very much into everything. There's just a few thrash metal bands that I don't really care for, but I can pretty much listen to anything, country, rock, pop, jazz, classical. I'm very eclectic with I love music. Some of the new artists I'm not that taken with because they pretty much all sound the same, Mountain Dew, nectar of the gods. So, I do like music, and that's kind of why I picked up the guitar. So, oh boy, what kind of music? What kind of music do you enjoy? What do you? Boy, music is really an individual thing. Like I said, I've been all over Dermot Kennedy lately. Boy, I don't know. I mean, it just depends what type of music you see. I like music that has a story. I love when I hear a song. I like the story. There has to be a story. A lot of the music I hear today, and while some of it I'll get into, most of it doesn't really tell a great story. I mean, I like a song that means. Does that make sense? I like a song that means something to me. If you have, like there was a song, oh boy, there's a lot of them. Story and the lyrics, absolutely. Okay, so very much the same. And that's what I'm all about. I like something that, that's why I said country music I can listen to, but country music kind of repeats itself. It might have a different beat to it. But you kind of get the same stories repeated over and over, just in a different way by a different artist. But I like country. Are you a country? What genre of music do you like? Is it country, pop? I mean, what are you into? As far as the type of music, the genre. That might help me tell you where to go and which ones to look at. There isn't really a genre. So you like rock, you like country, you like all the different types? Just anything with the story. Um, Boy, God, man, you got to remember. I'm going back. I can go back to if you ever listen to a group called Journey. Journey had some great ones. They had Faithfully. They had Open Arms. They had great songs with the story. So it just depends how far back you want to go. If you're looking for more current stuff, there's oh man, there's tons of new stuff too. It just depends what type of story you like. If you look at like I said, the one Faithfully, that's one by Journey that was kind of about a long distance relationship. So, but it was a great story. If you listen to the words and the lyrics, great story. Yeah, I don't know. There's tons of music. It's really tough because you ever be in a, you have to be, this might just be me, but I have to be in a certain mood to listen to a certain type of music. Does that make sense? I mean, when I turn on the radio, everybody hates riding in a car with me because I channel surf. And it drives them up the wall because I listen to about 3 seconds of a song. And I'll go through channel, and especially if you've got satellite radio like Sirius or whatever, and I go through 100 channels until I find that song. First time. Really? Well, I thought I'd throw you a curveball, and maybe you wouldn't even know who that band was. Yeah, and that's so 100%. So you understand the mood has to be like when I'm in a good mood, that's when you want to hear like something Chumbawamba, tub thumping or something. You want to hear something that's upbeat and positive when you're in a certain mood. And then of course you have those moods where you want to reflect and you're not depressed, but you kind of want to. You want to get the feeling that there's somebody out there that actually understands what you've been through, and a lot of the bands, there used to be a band years ago when I was in high school called REO Speedwagon, and they were the same way, man. They had all these songs that were just almost like they plucked a moment out of my life and went, this song is written for Brian, and they get, it almost felt like some of their songs were written specifically for me. And I went, wow, this really, it really kind of impacted with what I was going through. Can't listen to this. You're right. Yeah, and heavy metal, and I've listened to Metallica, and I like Pearl Jam. I've listened to a lot of music. It has to be when I'm ready for that type of music. Like I have a play like when I go to play cards, I have like 10,000 different songs I can go through, and I have them all in a different playlist for the different mood I'm in. So yeah, I mean, and the whole thing is one of the best things. What I enjoy doing, if you ever go on YouTube, go to YouTube and look up. How do I do the search? I do a search for. Usually I search for my original song or an original song, and you'll see all of these songwriters, young kids that are 15, 16, 18, 20s, and they're in all different ages really, but what they do is they take their own songs that they've written for something that they're going through in their life or whatever, and they write a song for it and they put it up on YouTube. And I've seen a lot of really talented people and awesome music just by literally, watching YouTube and just doing a search for original songs or whatever, or song originals. And, that's always fun too. But there was a couple songs too by some Christian band. There was a couple Christian, normally I didn't really listen to Christian rock that much until somebody put me onto a couple different songs from artists that I really enjoyed, and I, for the life of me, I think one of them was called Chain Breaker. I'm not sure who it's by, but if you ever get a chance to just YouTube it, it's called Chain Breaker. Gosh, who's that by now? And the other one was by Casting Crowns, I think. So there's a few of them that, yeah, Chainbreaker and sure if you have. Okay. I'll definitely check it out. Like I said, I'm very eclectic with my music taste, so I can definitely check it out. Let me see if I can jump over here to my other screen real quick and just see if I find Dermot Kennedy. Let me see. For Island Fires and Family, does that sound about right? Or Power Over Me? Are those Young and Free? Let me see. All right, let me see. I'm listening. I don't know if I don't think you can hear him, but I can hear him. This one is Young and Free. No, don't worry about it. I like him. He's actually really good. And he's got a good voice too. He's got a nice, powerful, like a rasp to it. I don't know if that's. Wow. No, very cool. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, I definitely bookmark, put a little bookmark on that one. So let me go here and just kind of add that to my. Yeah, he's got that. He's got a really soulful voice. I like that. He's what is that one? Yeah, that's the first one I was going to listen to. It's not the one I ended up listening to, but I'll check that one out too. Yeah, the other, I wish I could remember the one, the band that I was talking about. I want to say Zach Williams or something. It was something with Zach. I thought it was Zach Williams. Have you ever heard that song that I was talking about, the Chainbreaker one? It was kind of like I said, it was a different genre, but it was I can't remember if that was the guy. See, now I'm gonna have to. It's gonna bother me if I don't look it up. Here. Yes, that's who it was. Yep, that's who it was. Yeah, I wasn't. So this one is yeah, Zach Williams. So just cool. Yeah, that's the guy who he did. There was this one. There's a few. There's another one too. Oh God, what was her name? Really a great group. If you like oh man, now this is gonna kill me. What was the name of the group? They were. And I listened to them for so long I kind of burned myself out, but they were, I think the name of the band was Crowder. Let me see. And it had, their lead singer was like Steven Crowder or something. The Chainbreaker one. It was kind of a, like I said, it was a different genre, but it was I can't remember if that was the guy. See, now I'm gonna have to. It's gonna bother me if I don't look it up. Here. Yes, that's who it was. Yep, that's who it was. Yeah, I wasn't. So this one is yeah, Zach Williams. So just cool. Yeah, that's the guy who he did. There was this one. There's a few. There's another one too. Oh God, what was her name? Really a great group. If you like oh man, now this is gonna kill me. What was the name of the group? They were, and I listened to them for so long I kind of burned myself out. But they were, I think the name of the band was Crowder. Let me see. The Chainbreaker one. It was kind of a, like I said, it was a different genre, but it was I can't remember if that was the guy. See, now I'm gonna have to. It's gonna bother me if I don't look it up. Here. Yes, that's who it was. Yep, that's who it was. Yeah, I wasn't. So this one is yeah, Zach Williams. So just cool. Yeah, that's the guy who he did. There was this one. There's a few. There's another one too. Oh God, what was her name? Really a great group. If you like oh man, now this is gonna kill me. What was the name of the group? They were, and I listened to them for so long I kind of burned myself out. But they were, I think the name of the band was Crowder. Let me see. And it had, their lead singer was like Steven Crowder or something like that. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Crowder. If you ever, yeah, that was one of the. Let me see if this is a guy. Can you actually hear any of this that I play, or no? Does that? I don't know if that comes across to you or not. Yeah, I didn't know if you could hear because I was like, in my headphones it plays, but let me see. I'm sure I could probably make it play over this. I just don't know how yet. Let me see. Hold on. Whoop. Can you hear that? Holy moly. That was kind of loud. Different bands that I enjoy, and that's one of them. Crowder's definitely whatever. So glad you could join us. Played a little music we're talking about music, so we're trying to find out very eclectic taste in music. So just kind of perusing, and then I realized I was trying to get it to come through the speakers, and then I was like, I think they're gonna like YouTube kind of frowns on that when you pay, Great. Well, each song will have hey, excellent. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you again if you get bored, and we'll talk again, I'm sure. So have a good night and get back to your studying. So I definitely don't want to stop in the middle. You said you're in Australia? Yeah, definitely want to get busy. So have a good night if I don't see you again. Nine in 7 days. Hey, I'm on a roll. What can I say? I'm glad. It's good to have people to kind of kick by and talk with. So thanks again, and Krusty, again, thank you for following. I definitely appreciate it. We're just kind of, the channel's kind of open. I kind of go off on rants, but we're just kind of chilling out. I've been going since 7 o'clock. I'm probably going to wind it down here shortly, but I did want to thank you guys for stopping in and having some fun. It was actually kind of fun tonight. I was a little off because I really thought that my fury for Trump and this wall thing and everything, I thought that was going to be a downer, but all things considered, it was okay. So anyway, what are you on? Krusty, you're on Mixer, right? Is that what the X is? Very cool. All right, great. My 3 to 4 hours last night. I know. Trust me, I'm going to do better tonight, I promise. I'm going to get off here and I'm going to head out and I'll definitely do it. Thank you much and have a good night. We'll see you again. So, well, hey, Krusty, where are you at? Are you in the U.S.? I have different people from different places. Are you here? Or are you... I had one lady just left was in Australia. Who was it? Or the person. Sleep easy. See you two, get your studying done and don't stay up and don't blame me because you were up too late. I don't want to. I'll be the stranger that they'll take the whole computer away from me because you're staying up too late. So have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. I'd say have fun, but you got studying to do, so that's not going to happen. No. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and probably wind things down for this evening. And I say I appreciate everybody for stopping by and have a good night. And I'll be back. We do the stream. I'll do the morning one in the morning. It's just during the drive. There's not really any chat. It's just me kind of ranting, so it's kind of boring. And then I do an afternoon one, which once again is just me kind of going off on the day and how things are. And then we'll see you tonight or tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. I'll try to be here on time again. And definitely appreciate some time that you're spending with me, guys. I definitely, it's good to know that folks are out there that they actually can see, listen, and I love intelligent conversation, intelligent people. And so far I'm off to a great start because I've got every one of those. I've got intelligent people, intelligent conversation. Love every minute of it. That's why I do it. I was asked tonight why I like streaming or why I stream. This is kind of why, because you get to meet great people and have great conversations and hopefully meaningful in some way. It really makes it all makes it worthwhile. So we'll see you tomorrow. You guys have a great night, and thanks again for stopping in, and talk to you guys again soon.